There is not a one-size-fits-all solution to leadership. Discover your inspiration to lead by hearing from those who are in the trenches each day, leading themselves and leading others. We will learn about their unique leadership style and identify the shared qualities between those who do it tremendously well. Welcome to the Lead with Empower podcast. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Lead with Empower podcast. Ron and I, during our last episode, talked about a little upcoming project we had with some wonderful student athletes from WestConn, Western Connecticut State University, because I think our last episode was like a day after or a couple days after our start of season team building program out in Danbury, Connecticut. And we're super excited for our first installment of the Lead with Empower podcast follows tracking Western Connecticut State University softball. We're joined by two of their student athletes. We have Syd and Benni joining us from sunny, well, maybe not so much sunny Florida today, but it has been sunny Florida. They are down there on their spring break playing multiple games a day and crushing it. Syd, Benni, how are you? Thanks for joining the Lead with Empower podcast with Ron and I. How are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
We're doing great. We're not as warm as you down there. So we're going to get right into it. You've been playing at a clip of 2 games a day since just about for a week now, or almost exactly a week now. Give our listeners a little bit of insight to the softball side of things. How are things going down there? What's the record looking like? How's the team shaping up so far?
Now we're 8-4.
Yep.
We split. Well, we had, what were we the first day? I don't know what we were exactly, but I know that we had 2 days where we sweeped. We had a lot of momentum. We kind of fell short the other day. It was kind of a tough loss, but we were able to come back today, and I don't know, we're having a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of new things we're sorting out, and I think we're having a good time. Doing good.
Great.
A lot of ups and downs, more ups and downs, which is always a good thing. We're learning on the downs, and you're seeing the improvement on the ups, which is always important to see and stuff.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. And before we get too deep into it, just give our listeners a little background. Tell them, what year you are, where you're from, what you're studying, and what position you play for the softball club.
I'm Sydney. I'm a junior. I'm from Baldwinville, Massachusetts. A utility player.
Yep.
And I'm studying elementary education.
Right on. Awesome.
I'm Benni. I'm a freshman. I play second. I'm from Norwalk, Connecticut, and I'm a health promotion and exercise science major.
Good stuff. And I guess more importantly than the softball stuff, how's the academics? How are the grades shaping up so far this year?
Good.
Classes are good.
Ron, you buying that? Was that with enough confidence or what? You buying that?
You know what they said it, so I have no choice but to
All right, there we go.
Team GPA is over 3.
Our team GPA was over 3.
Over 3.0 for team GPA. Rock solid.
Yeah.
Rock solid. Awesome. By the end of the year, let's get it up to a 3.2. Anyway.
We might be there.
You both touched on this a little bit in playing 2 games a day. You're having 8-4 is great record. You're double the amount of wins and losses, but you have had we've been following you along up here. There's been some days where clean sweep, WestConn 2-0. Next day, show up to the diamond, and it's the other way around, 0-2. Talk a little bit and Syd, this might be more for you because you are a junior, a little bit more experience being part of a college program. But Benni, feel free to chime in. Talk a little bit about managing kind of those highs and lows and not necessarily, making sure you're not getting overly confident in those moments of high, and then, overly down on yourself in those moments when, man, we could have got one today and we didn't. Talk a little bit about maintaining that level of balance over the course of a pretty rigorous schedule down there.
Yeah, so I mean, we've definitely fallen into the traps where we've done, a little more on the up, a little bit extra on the low, and you kind of see it every once in a while, but it's really important on we're working really hard as a team, trying to make sure we're communicating with each other. We're picking each other up when we're down. We're making sure that we're not getting too comfortable with leads. Like we're constantly trying to make sure that like we're pushing ourselves to be the best versions we can be. So we see the best versions for the team that we can be.
Yep.
And that's been big that we've been focused on a lot this year, is like making sure you're helping other people be the best versions of them, because it ultimately helps you.
Yeah.
So we've been big on like the we versus the me this year, which we've been seeing a lot pay off for us, as like it shows on and off the field.
Yep, that's great. And then Benni, for you, being it's your first go at it at the college level, how big of a jump is it? Like how much more difficult is it from your high school experience as a softball player now playing college ball?
I think to me, it's a lot more like travel ball. I think like the competitiveness is a lot higher, and I just think it's such a great atmosphere with everybody who's just like everybody who grew up wanting to do this seriously. It's now narrowed down to all the serious players, and I think that makes it a lot more of a fun game for all of us. I think we're just really big on like not too comfortable on either side. Like if we're winning, we can't be comfortable. We can't like, and I think that's a hard thing to do, is to know that we got to keep pushing. You can't stay on that win. And then the same thing for a loss is, you can't just, I mean, yesterday we kind of fell into that trap again, like Syd was saying, like we lost and then we got stuck and we lost again, and we could have picked ourselves up, but guess what we did when we got back to the hotel? We had a leadership meeting.
Yep.
So we fixed it, and then we came back and won twice today. So
there you go. The key is now how can we narrow down, because you're not going to get rid of losses, right? When you play that many games over the course of the year, but how do you minimize the learning curve? I guess is it going to be a big challenge going forward. I received a text from Coach Stone today. It was in between your two games. She brought up the verbal leadership conversation that you had last night without getting the locker room laundry out there for public consumption. What was the key takeaway for the team from that conversation with regards to verbal leadership last night?
I think so. It was actually the juniors and then our one senior, Haley. We presented the chapter. So from our point of view, the biggest thing we wanted them to take away was kind of how like everyone can be a verbal leader. Like it doesn't matter if you're a captain, what grade you are, like everyone can be a verbal leader. And we wanted them to know that like if you yourself are a verbal leader, it's going to rub off on everyone else, and it's going to make it easier for other people to be a verbal leader. And like we need the people that are passing along those like useful informations and like picking each other up, and like if someone makes a mistake, make sure someone's there to pick them up and make sure they got the next one and stuff. So we kind of made sure like it was important that everyone knew that like they could be a verbal leader and like not to be afraid to just speak up type of thing. That's
great. And that you touched on a little bit, like everybody's gonna have, if you're out in the field in a position or last person on the bench, you could have a role that's critical to the success or and avoiding the failures of playing competitive sport. Obviously we worked together a couple weeks ago now. I'm going to turn it over to Ron he's going to get some input as far as, some of those things that aren't necessarily softball related, but can become very softball related. So Ron, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Syd and Benni, so can you tell me about your group dynamics? Like when Empower came to see you originally, tell me about your group dynamics. How was your group functioning with one another? Was it conflict? Was it lack of communication? What did you see when we had that activity that you would like to expound on?
I think a lot of it was, I think focus is a big one for us. We've got a lot of like, it's kind of hard for us to stay focused for long periods of time. We all kind of like, as a group collectively, we kind of all fade out and we lose our interest in things. And like, you can kind of see like once we have to focus for long periods of time, it kind of like dwindles out here and there.
Okay.
So that's definitely been a big one, I think.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Benni.
I think there might have been a little bit of like timidness before. I don't even know if that's a word, but like I think we were all very, very nervous to like maybe not confront each other, but hold each other accountable because of like, I don't know, there's class differences, there's like experience differences, and it's just like I think there should have been no reason to be, because we're a very close team and everything is fine there, but there's always going to be those barriers. And I feel like we needed to knock those down in order to be able to hold everybody to the same standard. And I think we do now afterwards.
Looking at your group originally, I mean, just walking in the door, you could tell that your group had a lot of chemistry, a lot of chemistry. Has that translated? Has that gotten better or worse going down to Florida? I mean, again, you're in the heat of the moment. Now we're playing softball. Has the group dynamic changed in any way?
I think it's gotten better.
Mhm.
Obviously, like I was on the team in Florida last year too, and I think it's very different the last 2 years, and I think this year's better, and I think that's why we're seeing those better results.
Mhm.
I think we're much better at like communicating, and when things go wrong, we're better at like going to the source rather than going through other people, which I think is something that's been really, really helpful for us this year.
Okay. And something else I want to, I got a multiple, I mean, in regards to your team's competitive spirit, you guys are super competitive, always wanting to win. Has that has that contributed to some of the conflict, or is that, am I way off with that?
I don't know if it's conflict. I think it's nice to have a common goal of everybody striving to win. So I think that kind of puts us together when we're focused, like Syd was saying. When we're focused and we know what we all want, I think we go at it very hard. And we kind of use that competitiveness together, like to unify us.
Absolutely.
I think it's not conflict, yeah.
So yesterday you talked about, not meeting the mark in regards to wins. Can you identify some of those things that collectively your team talked about that you want to get better on, and what you wanted to really work on and home in on to do better today, what you've done?
One of the big things was like, I mean, it was kind of like the big things we talked about was effort, like being able to go out there and like give your all on a play, because like it could be like the make or break the game. So one of the things was like, it was keeping that focus, making sure you're in the game and make sure you're making the plays that count type of thing.
I think just not being a selfish player. If something happens and you dwell on it, and we were all talking about how if something happens, you're still holding on to it for a long time. You're starting to be selfish. Like you're making that about you, and you need to be about the team if you're out there. I mean, even if you're not out there, you need to be focused on the team and not dwelling on what happened in the past. And it's really important to flip the page. And I think today we were able to keep each other accountable. Like if something did slip up, we were able to say, you know what, it's fine. We've been through this yesterday. We know how it happened when we dwelled on it. So let's just get past it.
Okay, and I think the last question I would like to ask, I noticed that you're talking about, I mean, both of you are talking about we. Not saying that there was ever a problem, but it's we. And that's something that I told Dan before when we left the program that, when it comes to Western Connecticut, they're always talking about we. Tell me how you embrace that mentality. How did you embrace it? How did you guys come up with that mindset of that, we're going to come together, we're going to make it one group effort versus individual effort?
Well, I mean, it's part of, I think, like the team culture. Like that's always been something that Coach Stone's tried to drill into all of us. But I think this year is kind of one of the first years that it's come like just really naturally. Like everything just kind of seemed to fall into pieces and stuff when we were like practicing. Like everyone just kind of clicked and it all just kind of meshed together. And it was just easy to kind of like, you wanted to do well for you, but you want to do even better for the person that's next to you type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, just what Syd said, I think it's really important that we all take care of ourselves, and that just leads everybody else to take care of themselves. And I think it just kind of creates, everybody has a role. And I think that being taught to all of us it just makes everything fall into place when everybody feels like we're all making one part, like we're all making one whole team. With one less person not filling that role, we're not a we anymore, I feel like.
And I heard Coach talk about it real briefly, talked about role clarity. I think that's one of that we're hitting on right now. But Dan, I think you got some more questions.
Yeah, just we're on the home stretch of our episode together, our first of a series of conversations with WestConn Softball. We'll be talking to more student athletes. We'll be talking to the coaches as they navigate their way through the upcoming season. Off to a great start so far. You have a handful of days left down south before you head back up to warm and sunny tropical Connecticut. I'm trying to speak it into existence here.
Right.
What, from from a softball standpoint, what do you two hope the team accomplishes before you get back on the plane and head back up north?
I think keeping a heavy win split. I think we want to keep the losses to a minimum. I think we just want to play strong, play together cohesively, and just keep having good days and improving on the downs, I think.
I think one thing I would like to see is keeping our timely hitting. I think that's been huge for us this year, is getting those hits when we really need them, and it's been paying off. So I think that would be something really good to keep, especially when we go into like our conference games.
Yep. Keep that element of clutch going strong. And then with regard, you touched on a lot of great things with regards to just overall team dynamic and how you're communicating with each other and how you're really buying into this concept of we. Again, handful of days left down there. What do you feel like as a group of athletes? What's a roadblock that you need to avoid, right? Because wins and losses, talent plays into that, but then there's things you can do with how you push yourself through challenge and how you push each other to be great that can maximize how many wins your talent can lead to. What's a roadblock that you all need to avoid with regards to how you function to make sure you come back up to Connecticut with that same mentality of we're looking out for each other. We're doing our best because it's going to help the people around us. What's a roadblock you need to avoid moving forward?
I think one would probably be maybe becoming too comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I think we've if you think that you just deserve anything or everything, then that becomes really easy to just have that tunnel vision, and then you kind of lose sight of the whole team. Because we've got a lot even our bench is loud. They get in the game, they get things done. So nobody's 100% guaranteed. Everyone on our team can handle something that's given to them. So I think the biggest thing is just not staying too comfortable and always making sure you're giving your all and looking out for those around you.
Freaking earn it. It is not going to be given to you. Freaking earn it. I love it. Hey, last thing, and thank you, Ron, for the nudge. At the end of our program, you all voted on a program MVP, and there was a very bright green softball, and that MVP was able to put their name on that softball. Has the MVP softball been brought down to Florida, and has it been passed around?
Yes, it has. Every game day.
Yes. Tell tell our listeners, when you all as a team look to, hey, we're voting again, what are you looking for? What are the characteristics that you're looking for? Is it, hey, who had the best game, or how do you all decide on who's going to get their name, add their name to the ball each game day? That's so awesome. I'm so psyched it's rolling.
It is definitely an attitude thing. It is not a stat thing. It is not a playing thing. It is purely who was the sunshine in the dugout, who was able to pick people up, keep the momentum going forward, flip the page, hold people accountable. Definitely an attitude, character.
Yep.
Thing.
Love
and
it.
There's been no repeats. So far, nobody's repeated. So our whole team played.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see who's going to be that first repeat winner. Go compete. Wow. Go get it, right?
Nominations today. She's getting nominations.
Uh-oh. All right, Syd. Let's bring another one home. And for athletes, for those of you that want to mentally check out, maybe because you're not getting the run that you think you should get, hey, that stuff matters, right? We have college athletes right here playing at, damn near close to the highest level of their sport, and they're shouting out the people that are doing the things that are behind the scenes that don't show up in the stat book. And so that's for the athletes. And for any coaches that are listening, again, if you blow off that stuff, it becomes it's removed from the culture, right? And so there's no cash prize that comes along with winning the MVP softball, getting your name on it. But when you start to really highlight and shout out and make it almost this reward to earn, those characteristics will start to rise. So and coaches, leaders, you set the standard for how your athletes treat those those skills that have nothing to do with the sport from a physical standpoint. So happy to hear that you all are continuing that momentum, and that you're buying into Coach Stone, thoughts about trusting the process, that it's only going to get better for you moving forward. We wish you the absolute best of luck the rest of the way down in Florida. Can't wait to catch a couple games up here in Connecticut. And ladies, very safe travels to you. We'll see you all soon. Thanks for joining the Lead with Empower podcast with Ron and I.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. We'll talk to you soon. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great leadership may look and sound different. However, there are common threads that connect all tremendous leaders. They are passionate about those that they lead. They do that which brings out their best and the best in those around them. And they never take the easy way out, because the exceptional will never come from easy.